Okay, so let's quickly go through these. Hopefully you found them reasonably straightforward. So, sodium chloride, if we look on our data sheet, we can see that most chlorides are soluble except for silver chloride and lead chloride. We've got sodium chloride, so sodium chloride will be soluble. Next one, potassium sulfate. So we can see that most sulfates are soluble and potassium is not an exception. So potassium sulfate will be soluble. Iron nitrate, we can see that all nitrates are soluble. There are no exceptions. Silver bromide, we can see that silver bromide is soluble, although silver bromide is an exception. It's insoluble. So silver bromide would be insoluble. Barium sulfide. So we can see that most sulfides are insoluble. Barium is not an exception. So that tells us that barium sulfide would be insoluble. Cadmium hydroxide. So most hydroxides are insoluble. Cadmium is not an exception, so it would be insoluble. Iron sulfide. Again, most sulfides are insoluble. Iron is not an exception, so it's insoluble. And lead carbonate. Most carbonates are insoluble, and lead is not an exception, so it will be insoluble. Okay, how do we go? We go okay with that? All right, so let's jump ahead. And where do I want to go? I want you to convert that equation into an ionic equation, a net ionic equation. So we can see that we've got ammonium sulfide plus cadmium nitrate. They're both aqueous in solutions. So it's going to ammonium nitrate and cadmium sulfide, which is the precipitate. Got a few there for you to do if you've done that first one. I also want you to write the observation that you would, what you would observe as a result of the reaction. So you need to identify the spectator ions. and then identify the ones that are actually involved in the reaction, and eliminate the spectator ions.